Since the last episode of What If Formula 1 Raced Ad was so well received by you guys, I decided to do another episode in between. Now, today's track was requested by Schumi Jr., who I suppose might actually not be Mick Schumacher, and he asked if I could also do an episode on Classic Monza. And with the Italian Grand Prix coming up this weekend, which I will actually be visiting, what better time to do that video? The Autodromo Nazionale di Monza today still is known as the Temple of Speed, seeing the highest average speeds on race day all season. But compared to the track F1 used in 1955-56 and 1960-61, today's track feels like Monaco if anything. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is indeed an oval that F1 raced on back in the day, but actually it's an oval worked into the even faster than high-speed track that we still see nowadays. Remember when I said I only had to use the brake 3 times during my lap at Classic Spa the last episode? Yeah, we might actually beat that on this track. Here is a lap with the modern F1 car around Classic Monza. Now I don't even think we need to talk about safety here, do we? This track was deemed unsafe as early as 1961, and remember, that was when multiple deaths in a season were somehow acceptable, and they still raced at Classic Spa with unsecured phone poles and the Nordschleife without any sort of barriers. The only other track being banned on safety grounds back then was the old Avus. You know, the one with the 43.6 degree banked corner made from bricks without a guardrail on top. Yeah, that was the level of unsafeness, if that is even a word, that it needed back in the day to get banned as an F1 track. That makes even Jeddah look like Paul Ricard in terms of safety. Apart from that, more issues with modern cars might be engines exploding while constantly running at top speed, the hybrid batteries being of no use whatsoever because where will you charge them with braking zones you can count using one hand? And of course it would manage to still be even more boring than the majority of 2023 races, with Red Bull having even more of an advantage than they already do. But despite that, let's still take a look at how the racing on this version of Monza would look like with modern F1 cars in a short 3-lap race. Well, and here we are in Charles Leclerc's Ferrari, waiting for the lights to go out, and out they are, and away we go here at the classic Monza, including the oval. This is the 1971 version that is in Automobilista 2. as we are approaching Cova Grande for the first time, almost getting a bit squeezed there by the Aston Martin. Backed out of that one without actually having the need to do so. And now, to one of just 2 braking zones of that track. Into the first Lesmo we go. Oh, getting a good run on Lewis Hamilton, who's just ahead of us. Trying to brake alongside him, but we get overtaken around the outside there by his teammate George Russell. And now, well, there is a big gap as we are approaching what today is the Variante Ascari. Of course, that doesn't exist back in the day. It's just a slight left-hand flick. It might have been challenging in the Formula 1 cars back in those days without all the aero on the car. But, well, it is really just a flick in those cars. Not even close to the edge of what these cars are capable of doing. We switch up the battery now for the first time as we approach... No, it's actually not the first time, but the first time we approach the oval bit of that track. And oh yeah, this is even a different issue that might make it difficult to run on this track with modern cars. You would probably break every bone of your spine in running on those ovals. Look at how much the car is bouncing. And now imagine the 2022 Ferrari or Mercedes going over there. That is insane. And that has been the first lap. In terms of racing, it wasn't too exciting for us, but look at what is going on ahead of us. 5 car wide, they went over the line, but yeah, they're still at it. Oh, big moment there for George Russell, who had to lift off, giving us 2 easy positions that we just gained. And now towards the Lesmos we go once again. Oh, yeah, the AI is struggling a bit through here, kind of tripping over each other. This gives us the opportunity, but then, yeah, they always get the better exit, and now we're struggling against the Aston Martin of... Who's that? Is that Lance Stroll? Didn't see it properly. Side by side we approach the Parabolica. We stay ahead of the Aston, and are once again getting a good run on Lewis Hamilton in that case. And now turn up the battery to maybe run a bit side by side on the oval that is coming up. Also a very unusual oval because you're turning right instead of left. Oh, and Hamilton drops now below us and moves past on the low line. I thought the high line might be a bit more beneficial here, but apparently that is not the case. Now trying to get a little bit of slipstream, but also not using up all of our energy to have something left for a last lap sprint. Look at that, what's going on ahead of us. This is really oval racing with Formula 1 cars. And, well, it works as advertised. Back onto the regular track we kinda know nowadays. Of course, a flat-out run towards the Cova Grande, so no Variante Rettifilo. Who needs chicanes? Getting a good run now on Hamilton once again. We're better through Cova Grande, but there is another Aston Martin just ahead of us. This is Fernando Alonso. Oh, almost making contact through the second Lesmo. Now in race trim, the second Lesmo is not flat out, but on our Hotlap it certainly was. So let's see. But we are too slow. Probably should have gone for even more top speed in the setup, but yeah, didn't fiddle with it. Just doing that short lap, short 3-lap race here. As we're now, for the final time going through the oval, we have a little bit of energy remaining in our battery. And we're actually getting a good run. I think they burned off all of their energy. Wow! 3 wide, the top 3. 2 Ferraris and a Red Bull is in there. And now Fernando Alonso will have a little look. We're approaching the final corner, the final time through that banked bit, and wow, this is gonna be very, very close. Ahead of us, the Red Bull really losing out right now. Oh, lots of sparks flying. Oh, there is Lance Stroll having a little look alongside us. Now our battery is completely empty, and oh my goodness, who has won this one? Who has won this race? Now, unfortunately, clumsy as I am, I forgot to save the replay after finishing that race. But I can tell you, Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso came across alongside and were literally separated by nothing. The game ranked Sainz as the winner, but the gap was 0.000. So, yeah, I don't know how it made that decision, but there you go. Apparently Carlos Sainz won that race. But now to draw a conclusion for all this, well, it was as advertised on the box. It was oval racing with Formula 1 cars, but actually Formula 1 cars are not really made for oval racing. You can have lots of fun in oval races. I myself discovered oval racing just for me during the Kart 1998 mini-season that I'm currently also doing on this channel, so check that out if you are interested in that as well. But these cars are just not made for oval racing and should rather stick to circuit racing. I think this is what Formula 1 is doing. Of course, it might not be when they want to further expand into the USA and then say, oh, we're gonna race at Daytona, or something like that. So, yeah. Anyway, it was great fun, but you really, honestly, I don't think you will see cars racing on this track ever again. And, yeah. That has been it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. And subscribe to not miss anything happening on this channel. And of course, also leave a comment with which tracks you would like to see covered in this series as well. Until the next time, goodbye.